My name is Georgie. I am the lead creative and performer on You're So Brave, which is a solo show starting in October at the Boorloo this year. You're So Brave is an autobiographical solo show that brings together 3 different parts of my life. The first is my experience living with chronic illness since I was first diagnosed with one of 3 chronic illnesses at the age of 17. The second part is my experience living in Hong Kong just prior to the 2019 pro-democracy movement. And the third is my experience learning how to pole dance in the last 3 years. Bringing these 3 parts of my life together in the show is a way of exploring my lived experience of chronic illness, which is a cyclical one. It's one where I have dynamic physical experiences where some days I'm very able and some days I'm not, and trying to examine outside of an ableist lens what that feels like, and the concept of bravery, which is something often applied to people with chronic illness, and how that feels to be called brave when you experience having to deal with an illness on a daily basis.
You're So Brave is a work that I think is about articulating a sense of how to carry on in the face of things, and what it's like when the spectacular or the catastrophic become the mundane and the normal.
The experience of living with invisible illness is something that in my lifetime at least, has rarely been discussed. And I think it's loaded with potential to liberate huge amounts of people, not just people with illness, but people also just living in a way where their own health is maybe their lowest priority. It's so relevant now, living through a global pandemic where illness, invisible or otherwise, is permeating the global population. There are many, many, many more people trying to navigate how to be well in systems and environments that don't understand what the challenges of their daily lives are like.
This is the first stage development for You're So Brave, so the goals were really to start generating some written material and start generating some physical material for the work.
So one of the outcomes was that Georgie was able to become more embodied and utilise her body as a resource, as a reservoir of material. And the skills and tools that we learned in the workshops are the way that she can now process that material into a story, into a narrative, into a performance.
I think we've come away from this period of development with a lot of stuff, right? And a lot of possibility space. And I think we're really well suited for this next period of structuring and editing and a more focused writing process that helps us get to our next phase of development.
Having funding gives us some spaciousness with how we go about creating, which is really important for me as a performer and an artist with chronic illness, because I can have things with my medical conditions come up. So having funding means that we can spread that process out a bit longer. We can still work intensively as a team. Everyone can be in the room at the same time. And it also means we can achieve a depth with the work that we really couldn't do otherwise. Michelle, who is our movement dramaturg, is also a parent. And so her being able to, support her family and come on board with this project and work on it full time is only possible with funding. So that will mean that we make a better show, and we make a show that can serve that community purpose of advocating for these issues being made and received in a way that people with chronic illness can participate in.